It is officially softball o'clock here in Salem, Virginia once again as we are underway with our second game of the day. Cassie Woods, first pitch she sees from Allie Armstrong, and one out already recorded here in the first inning. Let's get you caught up. Lincoln Rose, Sydney Gearbrandt, our entire NCAA.com crew on hand. We began today with 8 teams. We're down to 7. After this game, we will be down to 6.
Well, and I do not envy Eastern having to come up against Millikin. The Big Blue has a fire in their belly after dropping that extra innings contest to Salisbury. And Armstrong again here on the mound was also the starter that we saw against Salisbury, and they're looking to ride her arm as long as possible. 16-5 coming into this game on the season after dropping that first contest here in the tournament.
Millikin had that lead, 1-0 going into the bottom of the 9th. Salisbury able to strike for 2 for the 6-5 victory. Armstrong did go 3 1/3 in that ball game after being relieved by Sargent. Armstrong giving up 5 hits, 2 runs, both earned, walked 3, struck out 5. Of the 18 batters she faced, 78 pitches back on day 1. Back in the circle for Millikin. Alexis Tyrell at the plate for Eastern, trying to bunt for a base hit. Set behind the count now 1-2. So Cassie Woods, Alexis Tyrell, and Brooke Matisowski, your top third of the order for Coach Diana Pepin, your 6th-time Little East Conference Coach of the Year. As she has Eastern back in the championship for a 2nd time in the last 3 tournaments. We most recently saw them back in 2019 in Tyler. We also saw Trine and TLU that year. 3 of the 8 teams still alive in the championship hunt this week. Moments ago, WPI eliminated by the 2019 national champs, last year's runners-up, the Bulldogs of TLU, who will be back later on tonight. Winner of this game, similarly, will be back in our last game tonight. Our 6th game on the schedule will feature either the Big Blue or the Warriors.
Well, one of the things you have to love about these 1-2 punches that a lot of these teams have in their leadoff and then second batter is Woods and Tyrell. And Alexis Tyrell has been underrated throughout her career, overshadowed by some high-profile teammates, but a major contributor for the Eastern offense this year. She's an active leader, 190 hits in career, and a split time at second base and right field early in her career, but has been starting right field for the last 3 years.
A prolonged at bat after the first batter of this inning. Was retired on the first pitch. Left side, shortstop Tennyson, and Lex able to get it across there in time, 2 away.
Batting third for the Warriors, at first base, number 42, Brooke Matisowski.
And there is a runner on. Let's see. I missed the ruling, but was the back foot not on the base? Or was there an illegal pitch? Based on the fact that the umpire spoke to the pitcher, I'm inclined to believe there is an illegal pitch for ball 4.
Well, and this is what we were talking about the other day and the first day of this tournament, where I noted how the rules have changed for pitchers. They don't have to have both feet on the rubber. And we found that if the umpire's going out to see if there is dirt on the rubber, and if there's not for some reason, that there's an indicator maybe of a crow hop, because there should be dirt that is coming from that back foot, that back drag across the mound.
So Brooke Matisowski has a teammate on the base paths. Right side, only a chance to get the batter, as Tyrell now standing on second, though with 2 outs.
Batting fourth, at third base, number 34, Julia.
Ball didn't quite get to Blake in time to get the tag and the throw. A little hitch in the giddy-up of Alexis Tyrell, but she says she's going to be okay. Here's Julia Sangiovanni, your third baseman for Eastern. Senior out of East Haven, Connecticut, hitting .412 coming into this week. I don't know if you remember this, but we actually saw Eastern yesterday. Their fourth game of day one made it to the bottom of the sixth. It was in the middle of the sixth that the game had a pin put in it. We completed it yesterday. We went into an eighth inning before ultimately Trine was able to prevail. Trine got a 2-run home run from Taylor Murdoch as the Warriors were unable to answer in the home half of the eighth. Runner on second for Eastern. And again, there is a reason why Eastern is the visiting team in this game, while Millikin the home team in this elimination game. And it just kind of worked out. Eastern was your home team in their first game this week. Millikin happened to be the visiting team in their first game. Otherwise, you'd be flipping a coin. Count 2-2.
And San Giovanni is going to be one of two players on Eastern with RBIs above 40. So 42 coming into today's game. Going to be a major player in the offense to push runs across the board today.
This one's sky high, no clouds above. It's squeezed in by Blake, and that's your third out. So despite the fact that Warriors had a runner in scoring position, unable to plate a run, scoreless heading into the home half. The bats of the Big Blue up next.
And in the circle today for the Warriors, entering game number 6 with a current overall record of 23 victories.
A Big Blue turnout to cheer on the women of Decatur, Illinois. Came up short in their extra inning ball game, as they were in the penultimate matchup back on day one. Alexis Michon is back in the circle for the Warriors. It's the second game for the Warriors, but it's the third time we've seen her in the circle, and along the way, she's one of a couple of pitchers this week who've already eclipsed a pretty meaningful milestone.
Yeah, we're looking at that 200 K count from multiple pitchers. Strother we saw in the last game. Michon we saw in her first game, split over 2 days, but able to get that 200 strikeout mark for the season, a major accomplishment. And again, something very cool about the postseason and making it this far is that you have the opportunity to continue to add to the numbers and to the success that you've had over the course of the season. And so, got to tip your hat to those players who are continuing to be successful here.
Alexis, your sophomore in her first year with Eastern after coming over from Plymouth State, where she was your Rookie of the Year in that conference. It's KJ Davison leading things off for Millikin. Davison was 2 for 3 with 2 runs scored, had a walk in that extra inning loss to Salisbury. Yeah, we saw Michon get the start and then actually come back in relief with Morgan Bolduc sandwiched in between in that fourth and final game against Trine. She's got the initials MB on her face. A couple of Warriors players have some initials on their face. We promised you to do some journalism and inquire about that. That's before we found out that we might be a little busy today. But my guess is those are Morgan's initials, her fellow pitcher, and from there the speculation is whether the pitchers have each other's initials or whether it's the seniors who are being honored.
Well, what's so cool with the relationship between Bolduc and Michon is every single time you've seen a pitching change, and it's been one of the two of them coming in for one another. And they've shared a lot of the starts thus far in this tournament, or in this season, rather. They give each other a big hug, maybe a encouraging word or two before they switch, even though Michon's in the lineup.
KJ Davison, your newcomer of the year in the CCIW, the College Conference of Illinois and Wisconsin. Millikin qualifying by virtue of being in Illinois. By the way, these, quote, tattoo sleeves are reminiscent of what one of their co-head coaches, Whitney Sowers, wore in her playing days at Central College. This one punched opposite field. That's a fair ball. It's a base hit for KJ Davison. The freshman is on. Leadoff single for Davison here in this elimination game.
Batting second, center fielder.
And again, Davison not trying to do too much. Really seen a lot of teams work that left field line.
Gives way to Lane Chismark, another freshman, Joliet, Illinois, hitting .284 coming into this week. He was 1 for 4 with a run scored and a walk. As that one's simply a foul ball, 0-1. Again, Millikin with co-head coaches Whitney Sowers in her 5th year as a co-head coach after 3 years as an assistant on the staff of her peer, Katie Tinbor. 8 years together. As Michon able to field that one, it does advance Davison, so Chismark does her job. Davison in scoring position after she led off with her single.
And we saw how important playing small ball and executing the details was in the wins that Barry and then ultimately in the win over against Eastern Connecticut State. Both of these teams we've seen execute details well, but it ultimately came down to whether they could do it in the final few.
Gives way to Leah Foreman here in the 3 spot. Foreman, the elder statesman of the top third of the order. She's a sophomore. As second team all-conference this year, product out of Riverton, Illinois. Hitting .371 with 3 home runs coming into the week. Saw Foreman go 1 for 2 in the extra inning loss to Salisbury. We'll see the Seagulls later on today. We'll see a couple teams only play once today and still be undefeated going into tomorrow. We'll see some other teams continuing to fight for their season. A single and a sacrifice bunt so far for Millikin has KJ Davison in scoring position. Team that went 13-3 in the CCIW for the regular season crown. They fell in the conference tournament but got an at-large bid into the dance. As the pitch from Michon just off the mark. Last year, Millikin swept the 2 CCIW titles and claimed the automatic bid. They swept Wartburg College in the Super Regional last weekend to punch their ticket. And a big cut from Foreman, and that is the first strikeout on the day for Alexis Michon, now 2 away. Not in the clear just yet, though. Still has KJ Davison standing there on second, but it has her first K.
Well, Michon doing a great job working that off-speed in. That off-speed curve has just a slightly looser spin than some of her other horizontal moving pitches. Enough to fool a batter who's looking for something hard that they can drive.
Here's Grace Biondo, 2 RBI, went 1 for 4 against Salisbury. Biondo's second team all-conference, the senior out of Naperville, Illinois, hitting .358 coming into this week with 28 RBI, now up to 30. You're going to go opposite field, but that is literally the adjacent field. I would say the opposite field's the one behind us, right? 4 fields here, but we're going to see all 6 games unfold here on the championship stage. Field number 1 at the Moyer Sports Complex. Alexis Michon getting her second straight start for Diana Pempin, a 1992 product of her current employer. Count 3-1. KJ Davison led off this inning with the single, a sac bunt, and a strikeout. She still stands on second, with Grace Biondo swinging the bat here with 2 outs. We saw something in our first elimination game today that I don't think we saw all of the first day, and that's pitchers go the distance. And obviously, once you're in that elimination bracket, you appreciate that.
Yeah, we saw first day some split games. I don't think there was a single, maybe other than Katie Martin, of those first 3 games that we saw a pitcher go more than 4 innings. And then we saw Rosie, who in the split day against Eastern for trying, was able to take it, I think, almost.
You're right.
all
She
the way
did go
through.
the distance. She was the one
pitcher
pitcher to get a complete game victory.
Yep. Yeah, Bolduc and Michon in that first game shared the load.
Here's Skunberg. Cameron Skunberg out of Mount Zion, Illinois. First team all-conference, led the conference in hitting with a .448 average. She was 2 for 4 to up that average with an RBI and a walk in the loss to Salisbury. Millikin found 5 runs on 9 hits, including a run in the top of that 9th inning. Unfortunately for them, Salisbury was the home team and had a chance not just to answer, but to take a lead, at which point ball game was over. Seagulls able to walk it off. The 1-1 from Michon. And she's a strike away from getting out of this jam. KJ Davison, your runner on second base. If you didn't set your alarm to watch the game before this one, you missed the Kelly Jordan show. Along the way, she found her 73rd stolen base to tie the Division III single season mark. She already has the career mark. But boy, that TLU team, that was the team that we've known in recent years, as opposed to the team that only played in 1 run back on the opening day. As the moment a runner was on first, they were going to find a way to come home.
Well, we saw them get stunned by Barry's offense. Don't think they were expecting the momentum that Barry was able to generate against them, but did a good job coming out and, again, not swinging for the fences. That Bulldog offense is not going to have the home run ball. They're not going to rely on the long ball, but they are going to rely on those singles and doubles and great choices, hitting behind your runner, executing great softball, and ultimately able to come out on top for another shot to continue in this tournament.
The 2-2, and the count will stay there. KJ Davison, Grace Biondo, your 2 base runners, a single and walk respectively, with Cameron Skunberg at the plate. Your infield for Eastern, San Giovanni back at third, Rubeck at short, Vilches at second, and Matisowski at first. It's Beal, the battery mate of Michon. Your outfielders are Stoker, Woods, and Tyrell from left to right. This one will have a chance to get down. It does. Will they send the runner? They do. Looking for the force at first. Instead, it's KJ Davison, who began this inning with a single, able to score with 2 outs on the RBI from Cameron Skunberg. Eastern's best chance is exactly what they did, trying to get the out at first. They had no chance for a play at the plate.
Well, and for that ball, if I'm the right fielder in that scenario, that's a ball that I might leave my feet for. Got 2 outs on the board. Worst case scenario, that angle of that ball, it's not going to scoot past you to do too much damage. You have your second baseman right there. That's a ball I might want back if I didn't get an opportunity to dive.
Millikin has struck for 1 and 60 feet away from perhaps insurance here with 2 outs. Here's Cassie Reed. They'll pitch out. They catch 1 runner off the bag, but they're not going to be distracted when it comes to Biondo over there on third. Biondo on third, Skunberg on first. And again, we won't dwell too much on TLU, but this is where they would get into a rundown and try to bring that second runner home. Instead, they'll simply take second base there. And Skunberg now in scoring position. All Alexis Michon has to do really is worry about the batter with 2 outs here, Cassie Reed. You get her, and there's nothing those runners can do to hurt you. A single, a sac bunt, a strikeout, a walk, and an RBI single. Leads us to the 6th spot in the lineup. Cassie Reed is ahead in the count, 2-1. And this should do it. Shortstop Rubeck calling off San Giovanni. I say that, and third baseman's going to claim it. Here's your third and final out. They'll take it and move on to the 2nd inning. But Millikin strikes. KJ Davison with the leadoff base hit gets to come home on the RBI from Skunberg. Well, some neutral bystanders taking in some quality softball. All-day pass. We'll see the Vikings of Barry a little bit later on. They were able to capture a victory on day one.
We head to the top of the seventh for second inning as left fielder.
Now, we've got some teams who haven't lost yet, but could very well pick up 2 losses today. Again, we've got 8 teams entering today. We're down to 7. We aim to be down to 4 before we wake up tomorrow. Here's Alexis Michon, not only a fantastic pitcher, but also valuable bat in this lineup for Eastern. She's in the 5 spot. Eastern had 1 base runner last inning. It was an illegal pitch aided walk. They would strand that runner. So Michon did not have a lead to work with. She faces Allie Armstrong. And Armstrong went 3 1/3 in that loss to Salisbury. She picked up no decision. Lincoln Rose, Sydney Gearbracht with you, along with our NCAA.com crew. Great to have you with us. We're calling it day 3, right?
We're calling it day 3. This afternoon we might call it day 4, depending on how many games we get.
1 game down. We're in the midst of our second of 6 on the schedule. Well worth whatever price you paid to tune in here on NCAA.com. And this will be playable. That's up into the sun. And so you're going to let the one infielder wearing sunglasses handle that one. As Tennyson able to squeeze it in.
I actually love that call by Tennyson, captain of the infield. Team trusts herself. She's calling that ball. Probably could have left it to her catcher.
I think her catcher, Leah Foreman's just fine letting her have that one.
Yes. The sun now a factor in today's ball game. Has not been a factor until the tail end of our first game today.
Carly Stoker, first pitch she sees, pulled foul. We've already seen 2 reviews today. Again, a reminder that for the first time, Division III has at its disposal here in the championship week the ability for the umpires to review calls, as coaches can request up to 2 reviews during a ball game. After the 6th inning, they can still request reviews, but umpires also can ask reviews. And I'm not sure if we had another illegal pitch or not. We saw one last inning. And actually, are they concerned about something on her hand? They walked up presenting the ball to her. We're used to this being more of an illegal pitch discussion, but obviously Whitney Sowers is interested in what the talking point here is. And right now, Millikin with a 1-0 lead, your home team in this elimination game. Yet walking over to the pitcher after retrieving that ball, clearly detecting something on it. We don't pretend to know anything beyond that. Even with people not wearing masks anymore, our ability to read lips still has not improved by much. By default, when we see umpires talk to pitchers, we assume illegal pitches, but that is not the case here. Coach Tenbor has her back to us. Coach Sowers there on her right. And there's no benefit to us speculating.
Yeah, I'd love to speculate. I mean, I think that there's the only thing I can think of, I mean, there's the rosin, but that's not going to leave a residue on the ball necessarily. The only thing I can think of would be ludicrous to see it out in this arena would be something like pine tar, something that you see that you might use in your batting gloves, but I can't imagine Armstrong is going to be taking that risk. These teams have a high integrity, takes high integrity programs to get to this stage.
Unrelated note, producer telling me I'm supposed to plug our new summer programming, a hit show, CSI Salem. And second game of the day, our umpires with a concern with Allie Armstrong and the ball. She has not one but two head coaches to lobby on her behalf.
I'm not sure what the repercussions are if the answer is yes.
And again, after tracking down the fouled ball, it's clearly not just one part of the ball. They thought the entire ball had lost its integrity.
Called a lot of softball games. I don't know about you, Lincoln, but this is a first.
Yeah. Again, as announcers, there's a reason why we will mention, well, based on that scenario, that's probably an illegal pitch call, even if we didn't see the indication given. There's only educated guesses, and a lot of educated guesses right now would be irresponsible. We're going to step aside here on NCAA.com in the midst of the second inning as Eastern and Millikin in an elimination game, our second. If you're just joining us, we are in the midst of the top of the second. We believe that our starting pitcher for Millikin, Allie Armstrong, is being accused of basically doctoring the ball. We've had an NCAA rep as well as a committee member come out. We have not seen a motion to see that the pitcher, the student athlete, has been removed from the ball game. We haven't had communications sent up, but clearly a booking. As right now, one out in the top half of the second. Carly Stoker is your batter, wondering who the pitcher will be, and it's still Allie Armstrong, I believe.
And as a former player, I appreciate the dedication to the integrity of the game for both sides, and also as a analyst, I trust that these teams operate with high integrity, and they wouldn't be here if they weren't.
Yeah, we don't have any reason to believe that there's anything intentional there from Allie. Her teammates helped her keep her spirits up during all of that. Again, the last pitch was a foul ball. When it was tracked down by the umpire, he kind of gave it a squeeze, walked up to her. We thought maybe he was going to talk about an illegal pitch. That was not the case.
We've seen an illegal pitch already this game from Armstrong. And surprised I didn't give her a couple extra.
The next pitch, Stoker will send it just short of the wall. Biondo is there. Oh, boy. A little scare, but now 2 outs.
A good response there by both teams. Stoker coming out after her at-bat is interrupted by that.
It's not substance going off the bat. They believe in her. All right, we appreciate the communication. We are told there was substance on the ball. It's a warning, and that foul ball gets turned into a ball on the prior at bat there. Of course, since Stoker has been retired, they believe it came off of a towel that Armstrong had on her back. But presumably, we're not going to hear about it again. As Vilches sends this one back in the backstop.
One of the things I love about what you're seeing on a lot of these teams is that many of their contributors in the circle are also offensive contributors. Eastern, no exception. Michon, Vilches, and Stoker all in the lineup, regardless of whether they're in the circle.
Listen, Vilches, our one Canadian we've seen this week. The junior out of Brampton, Ontario. A .389 hitter, as you noted. Her side gig is also pitching. She's 15-5 on the year with a modest 1.13 ERA, but right now swinging the bat. Two. This one out towards right, but Davison underneath it. What an uneventful top half of the second inning. It's 3 up, 3 down. As Allie Armstrong retires the side with her defense, we move on to the home half of the second when you rejoin us. This is what I'm talking about. Look at America coming together under the umbrella, and that's the kind of umbrella we like to see. That is for shade. There is no threat of rain today. Cheering on different teams. I think we saw a WPI fan sticking around for some additional softball. WPI, the first team to exit. They were the 8th seed, though had a nice showing this week. Unfortunately, they ran into one of the All-American pitchers that are on display this week. Alexis Michon back in the circle for her second inning of work. Remember, Millikin was able to plate a run last inning. Here's Gretchen Gould in the bottom third of the order. Gould, the junior, hitting .337 coming into this week. Went 0 for 5 in the narrow defeat against Salisbury. In last year's trip to the NCAA tournament for Millikin under head coaches Whitney Sowers and Katie Tinbor, the first for the program since 1994. Even got to host in the postseason. And now you imagine that's become not just aspirational, but now expectation for the program year in, year out.
Well, and again, we talked about a lot of these teams in conversations with coaches. Many of these teams are not content with just being here, really here to compete, see how far they can go. Of course, we honor the contributions that every team has made and acknowledge that it matters to them to make it to the final game, final series.
Ball fought foul, 1-2. Here, Gretchen Gould on deck is Lex Tennyson, Riley Blake in the hole. Your 7, 8, and 9 hitters facing Alexis Michon for the first time.
Lincoln, you mentioned Gould yesterday went 0 for 5, but not common for Gould to not be able to produce in some way, at least on the base paths, as one of the highest on-base percentages for this Millikin Big Blue offense. Nothing more irritating to a pitcher than a hitter who won't get out.
I like that you recognize that on behalf of some of your friends who are in the circle. This will be a tough ball, and sure enough, Rubeck unable to keep it in front of her. That's an infield single for Gretchen Gould.
We've seen a couple plays so far where there's been some hesitation to fully charge, and you got really nothing to lose here. You got nobody on base. Would like to see that fielded with a little bit more aggression.
Oh, official score was not kind. That's an E6 on Rubeck.
Probably a lot of English on that ball. Wasn't hit super hard, but a lot of spin.
So Gould gets to run the bases. Second straight inning, Millikin gets their leadoff batter on.
Your attention, please. Pinch running at first in place.
They're going to run for Gould.
Number 2.
As you see, Sarah Lehner for a second straight game and as a pinch runner. To be clear, she was not in the game with TLU and WPI, but the last time we saw Millikin. Here's Lex Tennyson. Not wearing the sunglasses at bat. The pitch out, throw down, and the pinch runner Lehner is back. Boy, when you're a pinch runner, there are certain things that just can get under the skin of your coach, and getting picked off or not being aware of the situation while running the bases, but Lehner's clear.
Yeah, smaller scope of responsibilities for a pinch runner, but an important role they play.
Well, that one's close. Able to make the catch, and now the throw down. So how about that heads-up base running? Lehner waits for the tremendous catch to be made, but then realizes she can make a break for second. So San Giovanni, a tremendous catch in foul territory. But that also leaves you vulnerable to the runner advancing.
Yeah, great play there by San Giovanni, and great heads-up base running. Seeing she probably won't be able to take that in any other way, so immediately tags on that ball out of play. And again, it looks like San Giovanni probably gets in a bit of a collision.
They throw to first to appeal whether or not she had truly tagged up properly. And they say she's good to go. So Michon for second straight inning has a runner in scoring position to deal with, but this time nobody out. Tennyson Tennyson was just retired. This is Riley Blake. The foul out from Tennyson, the first out of the inning. An 0-1 count on Riley. Riley, the sophomore out of Muscatine, Iowa. Puts down a bunt. All in one motion. San Giovanni scoops it and throws it over to Matusowski, 2 away. At the same time, had no play on Gold, who takes third.
Right fielder, number 5.
That is a nice play by the third baseman.
And Millikin, following in the footsteps of the Bulldogs, just chipping away slightly again, not needing to rely on anything other than capitalizing on the mistakes that Eastern is making. Now needs some great situational hitting.
KJ Davison, the only individual to score for either team so far. That was last inning after her single. Came home on the RBI from Cameron Skunberg with 2 outs at the time. Comes up here with 2 outs. Teammate Lehner 60 feet away from giving them insurance. That's a confident throw from Beal. That one's off the mark. It's a 2-run ball game. San Giovanni, your third baseman, paying close attention to your base runner, your pinch runner, Lehner. After Gretchen Gold led off this inning, reaching on what was scored in infield air.
And ideally, with 2 outs on the board, if you're going to have any player in your lineup, this is the one you want, right? The only Big Blue player left who's hitting over 400.
First team all region, foul tip in the glove, strike out for Alexis Michon. Millikin strands a runner 60 feet away as 2 innings complete here in Salem. Big Blue hanging on to a 1-run advantage.
500,000 student athletes.
Beautiful big blue skies above as Millikin, the Big Blue, taking on the Warriors of Eastern Connecticut State University. Lincoln Rose, Sidney Gearbracht with you. 2 innings down. Top of the third coming up. Already 1 game complete. We're in the midst of our second of 6 games to unfold here on this diamond today. For Eastern, it's first time through the lineup still. Here's Carolyn Beal, the catcher, facing Allie Armstrong. And first pitch in there to Beal, a strike. Beal just about an everyday starter behind home plate.
Mm-hmm.
And Eastern not back in Salem last year. They fell ultimately to Tufts, a team that almost got back this year. Only to see WPI battle back to a 3rd game in the Super Regional. Both these teams were able to sweep through their supers. Eastern defeating Randolph-Macon, which would have had a reasonably short drive here. While Millikin getting past Wartburg. Each of those in 2 games. Allie Armstrong getting the start for Millikin. Alexis Michon again the start for Eastern in these critical games with the season on the line. And a 3-1 count now to the number 8 hitter, Beal.
We've seen some really efficient pitching today from all the pitchers we've seen, both in Game 1 and in Game 2. Not very many 3-1 hitters counts.
Armstrong, first team all-conference this year, the senior in the circle. Ball gets through on the left side, and Carolyn Beal, a nice at-bat. A leadoff single. That's the first base hit of the day for Eastern.
Beal taking care of the details there. Again, hitters count 3-1. Sees a pitch she can drive through the 5-6 hole. Again, good softball. And what you'd like to see from hopefully your entire offense, especially this time in the season.
Talking there with first base coach, assistant coach Mark Correa. Fantastic staff for both of these teams. Enjoyed getting to know Eastern down in Tyler, Texas. And of course, last year, even though they weren't here, their head coach Diana Pepin on the committee as the rep for her region. Happily found an alternate this year. She had work to do. Here's Laura Zink, the DP, after the single a moment ago from Beal. They are running for Beal, as I believe that's Maggie Baker over there on first. Zink swinging the bat. Pitch off the mark, and Zink able to withdraw the bunt. 2-0. Sixth NCAA tournament all time for Millikin. We mentioned ended a drought last year. This is their first appearance this championship week. Up against one of the historic powerhouses in Eastern, and a nice bunt put down. Third baseman Skunberg over to first, able to execute. The bunt moves Baker into scoring position with one away.
Center fielder.
And often in these big moments, in these big games, though we don't want to play as players in these championship arenas. We don't want to treat this game any different than the games we've treated all year. However, often the details in these big games, so to speak, are going to be the difference maker. It's always good to see teams be in the habit, especially in a tournament like this, of executing again and again.
Here's Cassie Woods, who grounded out back in the first inning. Eastern was convinced, had that pandemic not kicked in 2020, that was going to be their year to claim a title. After coming up short in 2019. Fell in the regionals last year. This ball gets through. Let's see what they do with the runner, Baker. She's going to hold up at third, and that's a wise decision. A laser thrown in from KJ Davison. That's the second hit of the inning now. Cassie Woods with the single.
And a great choice there from Cassie Woods. Able to hit behind her runner. Drive through the 3-4 hole. Able to turn on it, beat it out. Bit of a shorter single, so just able to move her runner an extra 60 feet. And Cassie Wood's going to be continuing to be a player that's fun to watch. Bit of a huddle out here for Millikin.
Yeah, both head coaches will take the opportunity to talk to their teams. We talked about Millikin. This was a season where a lot of players saw time, which ultimately has really benefited them here in the postseason, built some depth for the team. That's throughout the outfield and the infield. Allie Armstrong, along with Addie Sargent, two pitchers we've seen, have really worked diligently, according to their coaches, get where they are and continue to see the sustained success, and have been each other's biggest supporters. Right now it's Armstrong in the circle, working with a one-run lead, with the tying run on for Eastern. At third, while a potential go-ahead for Eastern is on base as well. See what Alexis Tyrell can do here. Tyrell is somebody that Diana Pepin will say has been underrated throughout her entire career, not just this year, overshadowed by some, quote, higher profile teammates. But Tyrell's one of the players who remain, who were on that 2019 team in Tyler. Been the active leader in base hits, just short of 200. And they will concede second base to Cassie Woods now with one out.
We're seeing some of these teams in this tournament with championship prowess, championship experience. And Tyrell has shown that, yes, like you've shared, overshadowed by some maybe more high-profile teammates, but still done a good job putting up some impressive numbers of her own.
By the way, the single from Woods this inning has broken a tie with Ariel Cooper for hits in a season. It was her 72nd. That gives her the program mark at Eastern for the best year hitting-wise. Cooper, a 2013 first-team All-American for the Warriors. She was actually Woods' coach at Fitch High School as well when they won a state championship together. Small world, or at least small state. Oh, and a scary moment. That's a batted ball in play. And how about that for an RBI?
Talk about doing what you got to do.
Millikin wants to know, did that ball actually hit the bat, or did it hit off the player herself?
Looked like she just...
Oh, well, it's a foul ball is what it is.
So not clear if...
So they have not detected it was a foul ball. But that is absolutely a foul ball.
I'm not totally clear if it hit off of Tyrell's foot or if it hit off...
Our umpires are going to come
plate
together, but Millikin is absolutely, you imagine, going to review this.
Yeah.
That brought the tying run home, and that was a decisive look you saw. After it hit off her bat, it hit off her foot in the batter's box.
So I'm not actually sure if it hit off
Did it not hit her foot?
It might have hit off the plate.
You're right.
Corner of the plate. Yeah, that last angle we saw. So this angle currently.
So this is the deceptive angle.
Mm-hmm. So it looks like it hit right off of her angle, but if you see it from the front view, actually looks like it hit off the corner of the plate.
Well, Diana Pepin has not asked for, Millikin has not asked for a review. And it would just be a couple frames there bouncing back and forth that we would be speculating on. And Coach Tenbor, let's see if she wants the review. So right now it's a tied ball game. Game of inches.
Head coach here asking, that's a foul ball, right? She turns, it hits off of her foot. That's a foul ball.
She was asking how would that ball travel so far.
And you know what? I think it just happened to hit
the edge of that
the
plate.
edge of the plate, just the right angle. Again, softball's a fickle game. Sometimes you don't understand quite how things happen, but it's possible.
This is the best look you're going to get.
Yeah, so it actually looks like it hits on.
And I don't think it does hit her.
Yeah,
I think that would stand.
Yep, you see a bit of dirt, bit of a serendipitous moment where
that hit off the plate. They're not going to review it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a tied ball game. So tied at 1 here in the top of the third. Baker, the pinch runner, comes home. The RBI from Tyrell as Cassie Woods stands on third. Do it again, right? Here's Matusowski at the plate. This is not a foul ball. That is out number 3. But the Warriors, with season on the line, able to answer the run from the Millikin Big Blue. We are tied. Well, we've got, again, not just your Eastern fans and the Diana Pepin fan club, but also I think we spotted some fans of the Captains from right here in Virginia and CNU. We've seen some Barry fans make their way out here. Look, you're told there's going to be 6 games today. That means some stress-free games that you can come out and watch before you really live out all of your superstitions cheering on your favorite student athletes. No longer a deficit, and we're a tie ball game as Alexis Michon back in the circle. If you're just tuning in, haven't really missed much of note. Bottom half of the third, each team 1 run on 2 hits. And Michon just missing the outer edge as she faces Lane Chismark for a second time. Chismark successfully with a sack bunt back in the first. That would lead to a run before the inning was over. Now leading off here in the third. Millikin, your home team. Michon in the circle. Able to take care of it. 1 away.
Catcher number 22, Liam Foreman.
Both teams doing a good job today so far, taking care of business. We saw a lot more offense in the first day of play, first and second, day 3. Again, forgetting what day it is. Pitchers coming out being significantly more dominant.
Yeah, it's game day. Time 6. The 1-0 to Foreman. 0 for 1 today with a strikeout against Alexis.
So Michon is going to really work a curve, off-speed curve, and screwball. There's that off-speed curve we were just talking about.
That one's just beyond the reach of Matusowski. And Vilches unable to get over there in time. That's an extra life here for Leah Foreman.
But one of the things that you'll notice if you see Michon miss a spot or cross her catcher is if her bottom half gets in the way of the slot that she needs to create for her arm to go through, especially on her screwball. Occasionally she'll miss on the wrong side of the plate. Means that back hip's getting in the way.
That one continued to rise. Michon and the staff, big reason why they are still playing softball. Eastern entered the NCAA tournament tied in all of Division III as a team with a 1.17 ERA. They were 8th in the nation in their fielding percentage. And then they're batting not too bad, top 14. Rubeck, right on cue, realized she could sit back on that one. Fires it over 2 away.
Left fielder, number
As a team fielding 973. It helps to have a pretty good shortstop.
Well, and it also takes the pressure off of your pitchers to have to be strikeout pitchers all the time.
Michon and her teammates in the circle had 10 shutouts, or were 10th in shutouts this year. They had 18 of them. Haven't seen that yet this week. But a low-scoring affair so far here. Biondo, 2 outs, nobody on. Grace walked and was stranded on third back in the first inning. Was one of 2 Big Blue runners stranded in scoring position, including Cameron Scunberg, who had the RBI to score the lone run for Millikin so far. TLU eliminated WPI in our first game. This is our second elimination game of the week, let alone today. We will ultimately have 4 elimination games today. Our next 2 games will be winners bracket contests, but the losers of those games are going to have to turn right back around tonight and play again the winners, TLU, as well as the winner of this game.
Seeing Michon introduce that off speed a bit more often now that she's settled in to this ball game. Saw Strother do the same thing. Strother had a little bit more time though. Was introducing that off speed in the 4th and 5th inning. Michon throwing it back to back now. Here
The 2-2 off the mark. Nobody on for the Big Blue. Alexis Michon looking for her first perfect inning after her team claimed its first run. Punch foul territory, trying to track it down, and just runs out of real estate. Great effort from Tyrell out there. They had that wall quickly closing in on her. Only a couple of innings of softball were played yesterday. These Warriors were in action against Trine. That game would go extra innings. It was a 2-2 affair when we picked things up in the bottom of the 6th. Right side, and that one will kick off the left ankle. Vilches, and there will be no 3-up, 3-down inning. Biondo is on. It is an error on the infielder.
17, Cameron Scunberg.
Now, as much as you want the big hit, as much as you want the line drive, being able to put the ball on the ground is going to be really key, forcing defenses to make a play. They have to make the play cleanly, especially if you hit it hard.
Cameron Scunberg 1-for-1 today with an RBI. And she singled back in the first to score KJ Davison. See if she can produce here with 2 outs. 5-hitter in this lineup for Millikin. Really, a philosophy for this Millikin coaching staff is if you can learn not to play for yourself but to play for your teammates, that can be the separator.
Yep.
And elevating this team to the next level, playing without fear. Left side, Rubeck, and they'll overcome the late error as they keep Millikin off the board here in the 3rd. So after 3 here in Salem, it's 1 run apiece in our second elimination game.
1 error committed.
It's one reason why we keep coming back. That and the great softball we get to watch. Blue Ridge Mountains, Salem, Virginia.
Lincoln Row is promising everyone
Mountains.
the beauty of these Blue Ridge Mountains.
I thought they'd been eliminated. We showed up the first game. They weren't there. And the fog cleared. This is San Giovanni, popped out to end the first inning, 0-for-1 today, facing Allie Armstrong now for a second time. Both starting pitchers going strong. In fact, we haven't seen any pitching changes so far today. I suspect at some point that'll change, even if not in this ball game. And did she lean into it? No, it is a hit batter. San Giovanni will take first. Second straight inning. The leadoff batter reaches for the Warriors.
Sometimes the best thing you can do is wear it. Take that free pass, take that extra 60 feet.
And they are going to run for Julia.
We've seen a pretty evenly matched day so far. Both pitchers giving a solid performance. 1 run on the board for both teams, 2 hits on the board for both teams. Though Eastern has had 2 errors on the day. Some of those more formal free passes that you can see on the scoreboard.
That's Taylor Darby, who comes in to run for San Giovanni. And a Pepin, in whom apparently some fans trust. Able to get the bunt down first try, snagged in fair territory by Scunberg. So Darby moves to second. And figured you get the out, decent chance that ball would have gone foul.
Yeah, Michon doing a good job helping herself. Talk a lot about how being able to get your bunt down even when you'd really love to have the bat in your hands. You have to be an unselfish player. Know your role, know your job in that moment. Execute on behalf of your team, knowing it's not about you, but every time you execute, you give yourself and your team the best opportunity to be successful.
Here's Carly Stoker. Flied out to left, back in the second inning.
Starting to see the off speed being worked into the count early from both pitchers. A bit more than we saw in the first couple innings.
I feel like we've already sprinkled in some educational moments already today, right?
Very much. Very much.
So again, when I say Carly flied out to left, I want to be clear. I'm not going to say she flew out to left. That would be magical. The word is fly, as in pop fly. Has nothing to do with air travel. So past tense, flied.
Nolan Stoker, again, one of 4 pitchers on the Eastern pitching staff, but one of 3 who regularly contributes offensively in left field for Eastern. We love to see coaches that trust their athletes and trust their athleticism enough to have them play every single day.
A big cut, drop third strike, first base vacant, aggressive base running pays off. How about that from your pinch runner, Darby? Off to the races, safely into third.
Well, an important moment that Stoker actually gets to contribute there, right? So Stoker is heads up, sees that she swings at a pitch that's probably not the one that she wants on her third strike, but is able to take off towards first, and that gives her teammate the opportunity to go to third. Again, those little moments can make a big difference. We'll have to see if this one pays off.
Make sure Stoker puts that dirt back when she's done with it on the base paths. We've got to be able to play 4 more games.
I'll pass along the message.
Can't have her walking off with all that. Alyssa Vilches flied out to right, back in the second in the inning. That was a 3-up, 3-down second. Been a little bumpy ride each inning for the most part for our pitchers. Allie Armstrong in the circle today for Millikin. What you're happy to see is there hasn't been an illegal pitch called on her since the first inning. Oftentimes you'll see a pitcher get one, and then all of a sudden it starts to snowball, and then it's in their head, and all of a sudden they can't continue because they're so concerned with their footwork that the opposing offense starts to continue to hit them. But she's been able to dial back in.
Well, there's really no need for a crow hop, I would say, now that the rule holds pitchers to only having 1 foot on the rubber, getting a bit more momentum, being able to only have 1. Get that extra push off of their explosive leg.
That's ball 4. Walk for Vilches, who joins pinch runner Darby on the corners.
Catcher, number 10.
And let's see if Diana Pepin's going to make a change.
I do wonder what that change. Can't imagine there would be a huge shift, but
She just wants to talk to her batter in what is kind of an important moment. As Beal, for whom she's already run, reminds her runners there's 2 outs. All right, do they force the issue on the base paths? Or do they simply trust the bat of Beal here, who is 1 for 1 today? That was last inning. When she led off with a single, her pinch runner came home to score the tying run.
we saw TLU in the last game seek to speed up the game on the opposing defense, the Engineers.
Well, you'd think a shortstop would take a throw, but Tennyson is kind of sucked in a bit. So then the burden's on Blake at second, presumably. Though Tennyson looked like she was poised to take a throw there a moment ago. They would just assume get the out at the plate, retiring the batter Beal. Eastern is 60 feet away from taking its first lead in this elimination game. Leadoff single from San Giovanni. Her runner Darby has advanced 120 feet to third, thanks to a sac bunt and a drop third strike.
Can be important for Armstrong to just focus on the batter here. A lot can be happening behind her on the base paths. First and third situation here with 2 outs. Again, we saw the Bulldogs speed it up on WPI in the last game. Eastern has an opportunity to do it here. We don't see them quite as aggressive on the base paths as we do the Bulldogs.
2-2, ball gets past Foreman, and Eastern has a lead. Another run comes home with 2 outs. This is Darby who scores. And Vilches now in scoring position at second.
And that ball just scoots underneath. Again, one of those free passes that you really want to eliminate. Unfortunately, Millikin not able to recover from that. And again, you have to think back to that play by Carly Stoker. A lot has to go right for Eastern to be able to have that opportunity to even have a runner 60 feet away from the plate.
Yes, we are just going to move on without addressing what you just saw. Some questions are best left unanswered. Payoff pitch with 2 outs. And trying to take third on the walk. How about the Warriors dialing it up a notch here on this elimination game?
Some good heads-up base running there from Vilches.
Well, Alyssa Vilches now finds herself a wild pitch or pass ball away from scoring. Back-to-back walks. Beal is on. Here's Laura Zink. Put down a sac bunt last inning. Gets to swing away here.
Again, Armstrong just needs to make sure she's focusing on what's in front of her, the batter at hand. Another first and third situation with 2 outs. Let her defense play behind her.
She's already gone longer than her 3.1 inning start, 3 1/3 in the opening round. Still just the second time through the lineup.
And Lincoln, this is the time where you take an extra breath as a pitcher and get really precise with your pitches. It's a low-scoring game. You got 2 outs on the board. She's thrown quite a few pitches so far this game.
1-1 is high.
Seeing a couple of her pitches that she was a bit more precise in the first couple innings. So I'd like to see her just take that extra breath, recenter. Bit of a chaotic inning behind her. Pitch her game.
Booted down by Blake. Everybody's safe, including the runner who comes home in Vilches. Oh, the defense starting to let down their pitcher. 2 runs have scored this inning. Warriors have insurance.
And that's a hard hit ball, but not an unplayable ball. Able to get her body in front, knock it down. Again, still an opportunity. Yeah, this might be a time where I, as my catcher, walk out there, take control. Looks like coach is doing it for them. Good time to call timeout.
Single, sac bunt, drop third strike, walk, and now an infield error. And if you're going to play that ball that deep back in the infield, it's to give yourself the best read on that ball, and ultimately there was no play to be had.
Absolutely, and fine to knock it down, still want to make an attempt at that play as much as possible. And as you broke down really what's happened so far this inning, we saw the miss on the pass ball, or the drop third strike rather, and then we had a couple walks after that. So eliminating those free passes, not allowing those free passes to domino and snowball on top of each other. While there's not any official errors on the board, about 4 or 5 free passes that Millikin's given up this inning that Eastern's been able to capitalize on.
Cassie Woods last inning broke the single season mark for Eastern's softball program with hits in a season. Looking for more here in the 4th. Look, Eastern doesn't have a run there unless Vilches takes third base on a walk of her teammate Beal.
Mm-hmm.
And the aggressiveness pays off.
Well, that's just smart softball, right? There's not necessarily a call or an obvious call that a coach may make there. Vilches obviously trusting herself to be ready on 3-2, even though there's not a force, right? There's no one behind her when she's on second. She's the lone base runner.
Woods looking for her 73rd base hit on the season. The All-American out of Mystic, Connecticut. Transfer from Keene State. It's been in that leadoff spot every single game this year. Trying to drop one in, but squeezed in by Chismark, but not before Eastern captures its first lead and finds insurance in the top half of the fourth. Big Blue with a chance to answer in the home half when you rejoin us. Well, if you like softball, this is the best place to be. This is the second of 6 games to unfold on this diamond. All of the games with significant implications here in NCAA Division III. And even the grown-ups sometimes are kids. As you see the coaches having fun with some of their superstitions out there on the diamond. Both of our starting pitchers still in this one. And all of a sudden, for the first time today, Alexis Michon has a lead to work with in the circle, up 3-1.
Yeah, you love to see that from Michon, who had a bit of a tough break in that first game. They ultimately ended up dropping in 2 days to Trine. Michon pitched well enough in that game to win 2. Certainly pitching well enough in this game to take one from Millikin, excuse me.
Cassie Reed at the plate was your third out back in the first, so 0 for 1 today. Again, she too embracing the tattoo sleeve that was inspired by one of her top 2 favorite head coaches back there in the dugout, and Coach Sowers. Again, both co-head coaches played for the same Powerhouse Central program, separated by a few years. Now, just as I was going to tell you that Tinbar is typically your coach at first, not the case, but Coach Sowers over at third. As we're going to let Martin Stupek handle the duties over there at first.
And for those of you who are my pitching buffs, if you heard me in earlier innings talk about when Michon misses, it's often because her bottom half's getting in the way, seeing her make adjustments pitch to pitch here.
Left side, San Giovanni able to smother it and fire it over to Matusowski, 1 away.
First base, number 8, Gretchen Gould.
Again, she got the start. Alexis Michon in that first game was pulled and then re-entered late in what would be an extra inning ball game. Late/early. We saw them yesterday. It was the only eventful moments yesterday before eventually some rain blew in. Here's Gould. Reached on the error from Rubeck a couple of innings ago. So Eastern is leading despite 2 errors in this ball game. They've been able to make up for it with some aggressive play on the base paths.
The Eastern doing a really good job keeping their foot on the gas offensively.
That's a fair ball. San Giovanni over to Matusowski once again, 2 away.
Also playing great defense. Haven't seen some of what I would argue are a bit of mental or miscommunication, mental miscues for Millikin. Millikin probably had like 5 or 6 free passes given up in that inning. Ultimately, Eastern was able to capitalize.
Lex Tennyson fouled out her last time up. Remember, that was the ball that San Giovanni, who's already been busy this inning, ranged over and just narrowly caught within the confines of foul territory. Only to see, at the time, Lehner, the pinch runner, advance. The 1-1 with nobody out. And Michon looking for what would be, and you can send your letters if you can find a stamp, her first perfect inning of the ball game.
I misspoke earlier in the broadcast. I was already giving Michonne kudos for 200 strikeouts, well over that now.
She's got your back.
But came into today's game with 199. Again, that 200 strikeout mark, a major accomplishment. Some of the pitchers in this tournament seeing those numbers. Congratulations to them.
This one out of the range of San Giovanni unless she buys a ticket. Out of Montville, Connecticut. Again, started her career last year at Plymouth State. Joins Coach Pepin's Warriors this year. A sub-1 ERA, looking for her 24th win on the year. Tennyson able to show off her range earlier this ball game, all the way from short towards the first base dugout to catch a foul ball. Now swinging a bat, looking for a chance to run the bases here with 2 outs. Payoff pitch, out of play. I can't tell you how many softball coaches right now should be enjoying a cruise or just some sort of off-season vacation. Instead, they're tuning in on NCAA.com. Meanwhile, some of these coaches still have a job to do. As you see, Martin Stupek and Whitney Sowers. Again, the 3-2 with 2 outs. Over to right, Tyrell says she has it, does not disappoint. It's a 3-up, 3-down inning. That's how Eastern responds after claiming their first lead in this elimination game. They'll go back, grab their bats, look for more insurance here in Salem. I'm sure I'm supposed to say something, but we're just trying to be fans as well.
Your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen.
Got some super fans out there.
Top of the 5th, and in the circle for Millikin, this is Addie Sargent, your pitcher of the year in the CCIW. Second time this week we see her. She went 5 innings in relief as they came up just short in the opening round. Addie out of Mount Vernon, Illinois, makes her 25th appearance. Just her 5th in relief, 2 of which have come this week in Salem. As this ball back towards the wall, but Chismark has it. As Tyrell retired, out number 1.
Well, and Lincoln, we talked about how controlling the controllables is going to be really important, especially in games like this, not necessarily wanting to play these games as any bigger than they are. A lot of these programs really leaning into doing what makes their particular club successful. And one of those things is some of the factors you can't control, like the sun, which was not a factor in our first day out here.
We wish it was.
But good to see outfielders making adjustments, infielders making adjustments, and a lot of communication out there.
Brooke Matusowski 0 for 2 today with a ground out and fly out. Comes up here with 1 out, facing a new pitcher, Addie Sargent, this inning. Sargent, first team All-Region this year. On behalf of the Big Blue. Fly out a moment ago for Tyrell. And Sargent able to get settled in, trusting her defense behind her. Alexis Tyrell likely still talking about in the dugout what it would have taken for that ball to carry a little farther. as Eastern is seeking more insurance here in the top of the 5th. Millikin knows how important it is to be the home team. Remember, they had a lead up by a run in the 9th inning against Salisbury, only to see the Seagulls strike for 2 late in the bottom of the 9th, and there'd be no chance for the Big Blue to respond.
It was a tough one to watch, but we knew that Millikin would come out.
Poke down towards left. Biondo has it to a win.
Yeah, we knew that Millikin would come out strong and ready to compete after that tough loss to Salisbury. A really great game by both of those programs. And we saw Sargent shoulder the load of that game for the most part. And Sargent and Armstrong have really been the 1-2 punch in the circle for this Millikin squad. Charlie Warlow has also thrown some really big innings for the Big Blue in crucial moments. But both Armstrong and Sargent have worked diligently throughout the season and are each other's biggest supporters, which you'd love to see. Some good culture being created over there at Millikin. And culture is created by what is tolerated, and there's a high standard for the Big Blue. We love to see it.
Kind of starts at the top when you have a head coach who says to her assistant, let's be equals.
When you hear coaches talk about how important it is for, each player to play for the human on their right and their left, that level of collaboration and trust ultimately that is cultivated on a team, you can't win championships without it. See that a lot from this Millikin squad.
Julia Sangiovanni's had a nice day defensively, also 1 for 2 today with her pinch runner ultimately scoring last inning to tie the game. That was Darby, the pinch runner. Of course, re-entered defensively, comes up here 2 outs, nobody on. And I wonder in softball why they even bothered to install benches in the dugouts.
Loving what we're seeing from Addison Sargent so far. Really working that inside corner.
She's going to get 3 flyouts. This one a pop out to Tennyson. So Sargent comes in, her team down by 2. She faces the minimum here in relief in the 5th inning. Millikin, your home team. They go back, grab those bats for the bottom of the... Well, of course, last year we were here in Virginia, and the national championship stayed here in Virginia with the now 3-time national champion Marlins of Virginia Wesleyan. Could it stay in the Commonwealth one more time, as the captains of CNU have lost exactly once all season long? It'd be one thing if this was a single elimination tournament. They'd have to lose more times this week than they had lost all year to be denied that title. We'll see the captains coming up. Right now, an elimination game as Eastern against Millikin. Millikin's first ever appearance here in this final week. Eastern's done this a few times. As Alexis Michon, last starting pitcher, still in the ball game, working with a 3-1 lead.
Well, Michon got some of those insurance runs back in the 4th inning from her offense, and her offense was able to speed the game up on the Millikin defense, take advantage of some of those free passes, probably 5 or 6 free passes that we saw in that inning, or that half inning rather. Michon also able to help herself executing, I think we saw her execute a really lovely sacrifice bunt. So Eastern here today, winning when it comes to taking care of the details.
In bottom of the 5th, quickly moving along here as the battery will talk things over. Already trimmed the field down to 7 teams. This game by design will take us to 6. Our next 2 games aren't going to do too much in terms of affecting the hotel business here in town because it's a couple of winners bracket games.
And I'll pause you there, Lincoln, because I want to make sure I comment on the fact that this is the first time we actually saw a catcher go out and take control of the game and how important it is for the catcher to be supporting as, one half of the battery to keep their pitcher in check, keep them focused where they need to go. And back to the hotel business here in Salem.
Riley Blake with the walk. 9-hitter comes through. Again, we'll have a couple more teams eliminated tonight, and they could very well be teams that came into today with no losses. We've got winners bracket games coming up in our next 2 contests. The loser of those teams are going to turn around and play the survivors from this morning, including one of these 2. Here's KJ Davison, has scored the only run so far for Millikin as Beal looks the runner back. So the leadoff walk to Riley Blake gets us back to the top of the order here with Davison. A 1-1 offering coming up from Alexis Michon in her 5th inning of work today. And Davison was determined to get that bunt down. Likely would have been ball 2, but wanted to be able to put the runner in motion.
I don't know if I'm KJ Davison. I probably trust myself to be able to get on top of that. Put that ball in play.
Shot, chance for a double play. Wow. Alexis Michon, absolutely no time to think about it. Gloves it, throws it, bases cleared.
Always an impressive play. Hard hit ball. Good reaction time from Michon. Has an idea of where her runners are. Coach out there just making sure her pitcher's doing okay.
Number 12, Lainey Chisbot.
Nothing like a comebacker like that to take you out of the zone.
If you want to bombard your favorite evening highlight show with that one, feel free. Just like that, nobody on the base paths. And it's Chismark at the plate. A sac bunt and a ground out to Michon today.
Good response there from Michon. Keeping her momentum rolling. Again, starting to introduce that off speed early in the count. Seeing a lot of pitchers with that off speed curve. So using that hard curve, tighter spin on the inside and outside corner. Saw Strother from TLU use it quite a bit in the first game of today. And actually saw it from Bolduc yesterday as well. Both Bolduc and Michon have that off-speed curve in their arsenal.
Chismark chases. As again, she thought she'd come up with at least one teammate on the base paths to work with. Alexis Michon had other ideas. The line out to the pitcher. And understandably, Riley Blake had no chance to get back in time.
Great spot there from Michon. Maybe just slightly off the plate.
Payoff pitch. Foul tip back in the glove. Michon with a strikeout. Alexis Michon putting on a show in every way possible there in the 5th inning. Her offense looking to give her more runs to work with.
NCAA Division III. Now batting for the Warriors at the top of the 6th inning, the pitcher, 25, Alexis Michon.
Morgan Bolduc has not seen time in the circle today thanks to her teammate Alexis Michon's performance, but she does have the initials of Alexis on her face. Alexis returning the favor with her initials on her face. And I was mentioning to you, with the sun out, those initials might be on the face for a while if they don't have the proper amount of SPF.
And for those of you who haven't been in the booth with us, he also mentioned that we should put our own initials, each other's initials on each
I
other's
felt like
faces.
they bond over it. I felt like there's camaraderie. I was feeling a teamwork vibe
There
here.
was a moment that was an opportunity for you and I.
Here's Alexis Michon with those initials of MB on her face, just looking to become a base runner any way she can. So talented with the bat, regardless of whether or not she's in the circle. 0 for 1 today. Sack bunt her last time up. Pop fly as well. At least you fessed up to not being a team player on this live broadcast. 2-1 count to Michon from Addie Sargent, who worked a perfect 5th inning. That was her first inning in relief. And this one right back, as she would have been out either way.
Left fielder, number 9, Carly Stoker.
Yeah, it looked like Michon might have stepped out of the box.
Yeah, that play was over at the moment. That foot was out of the box. Sargent able to squeeze it in. She's retired all 4 she has faced. Here's Carly Stoker. Stoker with a stroke to center. Chismark is there. Defense backing up Sargent, keeping it just a 2-run deficit.
Second base,
As
number 3, Alyssa
Millikin's going to have
Lopez.
6 outs to work with in their 2022 season. Right now, just would need 2 runs.
Players on both of these offensives seeing the ball well. Seen some hard hits so far this game, even though it hasn't necessarily come to fruition on our scoreboard. I think we're still at 5 hits on the day for both offenses total. It's not the most exciting game we've ever called offensively, but
We didn't see much more than that in our first game.
we sure did not.
The All-American Strother with a 2-hit shutout victory, and that second hit didn't come until the final inning. Here's Alyssa Vilches. She was the last player to score for Eastern. That was in the 4th inning when they played at 2 to grab their first lead and build on it. That was after she walked with 2 outs.
And I love that both of these programs have to get crafty with how they're producing offensively. Neither of them are going to rely really on the long ball. I think we have Matasowski, who is 16 home runs on the year, but between the two teams, she has the most. So, gonna have to see some smart offense from Millikin. They're gonna want to get back in this ball game.
Coach Tenbor charting the pitches of her reliever Sargent. Fifth pitch of the at-bat, loft up, and a nice demonstration of her range by Blake behind second base. So Addie Sargent came in last inning. She's faced 6 batters, and with the help of her defense, retired all 6 to keep this a 2-run deficit.
The Warriors give.
Back at the ballpark, second game of the day.
Now batting for Millikin, the bottom of the 6th inning.
As the fans are out, some of them with fans,
Foreman.
on a day that is slowly getting warmer. We'll see if the Big Blue can bring the heat and the pressure on a talented pitcher as you look at the moving picture. Alexis Michon. She needs 6 outs before conceding 2 runs. And they will get to play again later today if that's the case. Leah Foreman leads things off. It is the 3, 4, and 5 hitter due up to face Michon for a third time. Michon helped her own cause last inning with a double play ball. Foreman 0 for 2 so far today against the Warriors starter. One down the line in foul territory, playable, and Tyrell has it. You welcome all these outs any ways you can get them, getting closer to that finish line. As your opponent's now down to 5 outs to work with.
Well, and what I appreciate about every circle we've seen so far today, every pitcher we've seen so far in the circle today, for all 4 teams that we've watched, is the pitchers have done a good job of not needing to press, relying on the strikeout when they can get it, but also relying on their defense to make the play, either routine or otherwise.
Grace Biondo, your cleanup hitter. She walked in an eventful first inning when Millikin scored their only run. And the batter on deck, Skunberg, had the lone RBI. Biondo also reached on an error back in the third. Officially 0 for 1 today. Wind starting to pick up a little bit out towards right. That had been a dormant American flag out there in center field for a while today. With 1 out, nobody on. Count 3-1 to Biondo. Second team all-conference, the senior. Again, 358 hitter coming into this week. 1 for 4 in the opening game with 2 runs batted in. Just trying to get on any way she can here. Instead, the count goes full with 1 out as Michon battles back.
And Biondo with 5 triples so far on this season, rivaled only by KJ Davison, also who has 5.
Right side, and a tough day for Vilches over there. That's the 3rd error on this infield of Eastern, and Biondo is on. That's the 2nd time she has reached at the expense of the second baseman for Eastern.
Downward bat angle from Biondo, looking to put the ball in play, looking to swing at a good pitch.
So Biondo's been on the bases 3 times now. She's yet to be able to come home and score. Let's see if they can rectify that here. Skunberg has the only RBI today. She's looking for more. Has an RBI single in the first, grounded out in the third. Finally back at the plate for the 3rd time here. And your leading batter in the CCIW this year. San Giovanni gets the lead out. They'll try to turn 2. They do. Eastern will grab their bats. They hope one final time. Their opposition, the Big Blue, down to their final 3 outs when the bottom of the 7th rolls around. Eastern trying to add to a 2-run lead here in this elimination game. Oregon Bulldog has not given up a hit today in this one, though she hasn't had to throw a pitch, as her best friend Alexis Michon has been fantastic, holding the Big Blue to just 1 run. It's the 8, 9, and top spot of the orders coming up. Speaking of fantastic, Addie Sargent has come in past 2 innings, sat down all 6 batters she has faced with the help of her defense behind her. See if she can quickly get Big Blue back into the dugout for the bottom half of this inning, only down by 2. Here's Carolyn Beal. Singled in the 3rd, that led to a run. And walked in the 4th, 1 for 1. That was not intentional. So Beal, Zink, and Woods due up. Sargent, who's been very efficient. This will just be her 18th pitch in relief, having already recorded 6 outs. I don't know how a team trainer deals with that. Has anybody seen my athletic tape? That's a fair ball down the line over the bag. They'll be content with a single as Carolyn Beal is 2 for 2 today and on the base pass for a 3rd time.
Well, that's the first hit we've seen off of Sargent. She's able to turn on it, get her barrel there.
Bottom 3rd of the order has been coming through. Vilches has scored a run and walked. Beal with a couple of base hits and a walk. Her pinch runner scored. Beal's going to have to run since she's your catcher. You want her the next half inning, and you've already re-entered her once. Or Zink executing on a sac bunt already today. Reached on an error more recently. Comes up here in the 7th. Trying to grow that lead. So many moving parts to this infield for Millikin, as would be the case for any defense in this situation. Everybody has to know their assignment. Left side of the infield has to prep for a bunt or a slap. Skunberg and Tennyson. And Zwink will just loft it over their heads into shallow left. How shallow? Biondo, if she was there a step quicker, may have had the force out at second. Laura Zink, again, this bottom 3rd of the order with the season on the line is coming through.
And again, this Eastern offense, no need to do too much. Not going to rely on the long ball. But they are going to chip away at Sargent, just the same way they've chipped away at Allie Armstrong earlier in this game. Got no outs on the board here, so Eastern has an opportunity to really pad their lead before giving Millikin their last 3 outs.
Sargent was perfect. Her first 2 innings in relief. Has now seen a couple of base hits, one right down the line at 3rd, and the other one just blooped over her shortstop, who had been sucked in. Now it's the top of the order for Eastern, Cassie Woods. Again, nobody's produced more base hits in a single season for Eastern than Woods, as Big Blue talks it over. And this is the final elimination game for a handful of hours before later on tonight. A couple of teams are going to be in that elimination game, and they don't even know it yet.
Hard to believe we're going to go down to only 4 teams after today.
Gotta believe.
Gotta believe.
Started today with 8. We were about a day behind schedule. This meant one more nod to the hotel industry. A couple extra nights that were booked. As Woods squaring around. Coming up next, we will see CNU and Barry, the 1 and 5 seed respectively. Then it'll be Salisbury, who outlasted Millikin in 9 innings back on day 1 against Trine, who wrapped up their game against Eastern yesterday in extra innings as well. And just unable to get that ball on the fly in foul territory. So TLU survived our first elimination game. They ended the season as the 4th seed against the 8th seed WPI. So TLU will play the loser of CNU and Barry our next game. While the winner of this game will play the loser of Salisbury and Trine. That ball will get through. Diana Pepin has the stop sign up. With that said, Chismark could overrun the ball. No way for a coach to anticipate that. Bases loaded for Eastern. Nobody out.
Chismark charging that ball. By the time it gets to the outfield, she had a considerable amount of time to wind up for a great throw, so it doesn't surprise me that Coach Pepin keeps her.
3 singles this inning. Bases loaded, nobody out. Alexis Tyrell comes to the plate. She is walked, grounded out, and flied out.
And this is where softball being a numbers game gets fun. Well, it's always fun. But Tyrell here, we know she's due based on the numbers. Gives us a pretty good idea of what may happen.
And that one will get through. Eastern has their 4th run as it's station to station. A 60-foot merry-go-round advances 1 spot. And it's Tyrell who joins the fun. The RBI single to bring home Carolyn Beal, who started it all. 4 batters have come to the plate. 4 singles, no outs.
I mean, I don't mean to predict the future, but numbers don't lie. And Tyrell, having been a mainstay in this lineup all year long. And again, Eastern with no outs on the board have an opportunity to support their pitcher, pat it up, and make sure that they actually get a little bit of confidence here, create some momentum for them.
1 to handle, force at the plate. So fielder's choice as Zink retired at home, 1 away. Woods now on 3rd, Tyrell on 2nd. Matisowski joins them at 1st. Julia Sangiovanni. Okay. Having a chat with her head coach, Diana Pepin. Diana explaining if that ball goes over the fence, it's worth 4. Talking to her cleanup hitter, whose job description very much is with this opportunity in mind. 1 out, bases loaded. 7 home runs on the year for Julia Sangiovanni. Four singles this inning alone for Eastern, as they've added a run.
Well, and Sangiovanni, one of those players that's going to find a way on base as much as possible. 21 hit by pitches this year. Saw her get hit by a pitch earlier in the game.
Yeah, that's the fun kind of RBI, right?
Take a hit, take your base.
And 42 RBI coming into this week. She's been busy at 3rd. Played a nice game defensively. They ran for her back in the 4th when Darby scored the go-ahead run. That would still stand as your winning run at the moment. They want more of a cushion for Michon. All right, got to throw a strike here. 3 balls, 1 strike, bases loaded. Woods on 3rd, Tyrell on 2nd, each with singles this inning. Matisowski, the fielder's choice, your run on 1st. And that's an RBI walk for Julia Sangiovanni. Here in the 7th inning of the elimination game, the 2nd run to cross here in the 7th.
When we were talking about some of the silliness we were observing, both from our friends in the stands and some of the humans in uniform. And this is a game, so it should be fun, and hopefully the level of competition isn't overshadowing the fact that this should be the most fun part of your season. You're competing for a national championship.
So Cassie Wood scored. They're going to run for Matisowski, as Emma Sands, a first-year pitcher, will make her 11th appearance on the year to come in and run. Tyrell, the runner, on third. San Giovanni after the walk on first. And Alexis Michon comes up to the plate. Her teammates have given her a couple of extra insurance runs for the bottom of the 7th. Let's see what she can do here. Count 0-2 against Sargent. Michon lined out to her counterpart last inning.
Well, this is that moment that's you get to have a little bit more fun. Pressure's off of you. Your team's done a great job of padding the scoreboard. Let's go have a great at-bat.
Out to center. This could score another. Chismark makes the catch. It's a great throw to the plate and unable to get the tag in time. And since they wanted it all at home, both runners advance. So Tyrell scores on the sacrifice fly from Alexis Michon. Sands moves to third. San Giovanni in scoring position now as well.
And a great piece of situational hitting there. Tyrell, knowing that she's going to have to slide way far out, and a very close play, but ultimately able to get her hand on the bag.
If she reaches with her left, she's out. She extends her right, and it's a 6-1 ball game. 3 runs in the top of the 7th for Eastern. Here's Carly Stoker, the 8th batter of the inning. Both these teams went extra innings in their first game.
I'm seeing a slight body language change here from Sargent. Not seeing the same confidence we were seeing in the first couple innings where she was so dominant. Again, that moment. Take a deep breath. Keep pitching your game.
That's a fair ball. Big Blue can't catch a break. It's going to score 2 more. It's a 2-run double from Carly Stoker as Sands and San Giovanni both come home.
Well, this is an opportunity. I think I mentioned how Beal was the first catcher for Eastern, and through this tournament, for us to see one half of the battery call timeout, this is one of those moments where as a catcher, I'm calling timeout, or even as a pitcher, I'm bringing my infield in so that I can take a breath. I can reset the defense.
So here's Alyssa Vilches. She's the 9th batter this inning after Addie Sargent faced the minimum in relief the last 2 innings. A single, another single, and then 2 more singles before a fielder's choice, a walk, a sac fly. 2-run double a moment ago. That walk, by the way, was of course a base-loaded RBI walk. And let's see if there's something distracting in the crowd. As Diana Pepin expressed some concern. I think she noticed just too much blue in the crowd.
Well, either way, you have to love coach advocating on behalf of their kids. As a player, you always want to be building rapport with your coach. It's a good way for a coach to do that.
And Big Blue will be down to their final 3 outs in the bottom of the 7th. The question is, how many runs will they need? It was a 3-1 ball game until 5 runs have crossed here in the 7th. 2-2. Blake over to Gould. That'll do it. Bottom of the 7th coming up in our second elimination game of the day. The Warriors just need 3 outs to extend their season into tonight.
Eastern Connecticut. Connecticut State, 32, Brooke Matisowski. Matisowski re-enters the contest in the number 3 position in the ECSU.
A little less stressful for the fans who made their way down from Connecticut. Thanks to a 5-run top of the 7th. Alexis Michon looking for the complete game victory. And has a little more breathing room. Due up, it's the 6, 7, and 8 spots in the lineup for Millikin. They've been a combined 0 for 6 today against Michon. A chance to change that here. Cassie Reed, the DP. ...101 pitches for Michon coming into this final frame.
A big smile there on Michon's face. I think she's also wondering where that ball missed.
Yes, NCAA softball still has not adopted smiles as an official stat, but we have seen several leaders, possibly some career highs. It's a fun week for us. And Millikin hoping to extend their stay. Cassie Reed comes through with a base hit to get things started in a comeback effort here in the bottom of the 7th.
First base, number 8, Gretchen.
It's the first hit since the first inning given up by Alexis Michon. Yeah, they're yanking her. In her place, Morgan Bolduc. As Alexis Michon exits this ball game. If you need her an extra inning, she's still swinging a bat, but that's going to require Bolduc giving up 7+.
And what an incredible performance we've seen from Michon. Tough break in that first game for both Bolduc and Michon to drop that.
Your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen. Now pitching for Eastern Connecticut State, number 2, Morgan Bolduc.
You always appreciate having an All-American to go to. Morgan Bolduc comes in. Presumably this is more about pitch count for Michon. She was over 100 pitches. You've got a 8-1 lead in the bottom of the 7th. And Morgan Bolduc comes on. We saw her in middle relief. Ultimately in that extra inning loss.
Also,
Both the first and the second day against Trine.
And I love the camaraderie you see between Michon and Bolduc. Great to see teammates supporting each other, even better to see pitchers supporting each other, knowing that neither of them has to shoulder the majority of the innings. They can work together and be a good 1-2 punch. And those are going to be the pitchers that you're going to see start the majority of the games. Looks like they're splitting them now. Previously in the season, we saw Vilches and Stoker really be the ones in relief.
Bolduc and Michon both have been pitchers of the year in their conference. Morgan entered the NCAA postseason as the nation's leader in ERA, .47. As the Big Blue comeback is down to 2 outs after the single. By the way, Dedamore is running for Cassie Reed right now. Gretchen Gould retired for out number 1.
Shortstop, number 11, Lex Tennyson.
Second time we've seen Dedamore as a pinch runner this week. Here's Lex Tennyson. A foul out and a fly out so far. He's a new pitcher in the circle. Shoots it right back to Bolduc. As Morgan Bolduc, her own best friend, an inning-ending double play and a season-saving double play along the way as they survive the elimination game. Eastern moves on to later tonight as we are down to 6 teams still in the hunt for a national championship.
Ultimately, Lincoln, this game was going to be about who could execute the details and who could make the least amount of errors. We see that Eastern has 3 up on the board, but Millikin had that 1 inning where Eastern was able to bust it open, generate some momentum for themselves, and ultimately come out on top, 8-1.
So a fantastic season for the Big Blue of Millikin comes to a conclusion. 37-9 on the year. Your champions out of the CCIW, your super regional champions out of Decatur, Illinois. But ultimately, an extra inning defeat in round 1. And what was a tight battle against Eastern today until that final 7th inning gave Eastern some breathing room. Eastern moves on at the expense of the Big Blue. Coming up next, it'll be Barry out of Georgia, seeing you from right here in Virginia. Sydney, you going to be here? We're going to stick around. We've got 2 games down, 4 games to go with our fantastic NCAA.com crew. We'll talk to you in a moment.